Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. I'm TCaptainX. We are going to be covering everything that we know about Warzone and what's coming to it once Black Ops 6 integrates into Warzone. So first of all, Black Ops 6, the multiplayer game, is coming out October 25th. That is going to be a separate multiplayer game, completely separate from MW3. There will be no crossover between those from a multiplayer standpoint. However, they're at a later date, probably end of November or early December. This date has not yet been confirmed. There's going to be a huge Warzone update that then integrates everything from Black Ops 6 into Warzone. So all of the guns from Black Ops 6, all of the gameplay mechanics like the movement, all of that will then go into Warzone when this update happens sometime at the end of the year. But we will continue to have MW2, MW3, and then Black Ops 6 guns all together in the same game, and your current camos, cosmetics, skins, etc. that you have now in Warzone, that will carry over into this kind of new Warzone, which will really still be the same Warzone, but just with a big update. So let's talk what's changing more specifically when it comes to the gameplay. So the biggest one is going to be the movement. We are going to be getting that new omni-movement from Black Ops 6 into Warzone. The best way to describe this is think of the current sprinting, sliding, diving, but make it 10 times more fluid, and it'll give you the ability to chain these movements together. Essentially, instead of now where we can only just run forward and slide in the direction that we're running, now you're going to be able to slide sideways, slide backwards. You're going to be able to dive sideways, dive backwards, and much more. And all of these movements can kind of be combined and chained together. There's going to be a lot more kind of creativity with movement. And in all honesty, there's probably going to be a larger skill gap now because of this very kind of diverse movement that we're going to be having. So yes, slide canceling will still be in the game. It doesn't seem like slide cancel will reset tac sprint like it used to back in Warzone 1. However, a very cool new change that's coming is you're going to be able to hold your melee button, which will take out a dedicated melee slot like a knife, and that will give you unlimited tactical sprint. So this is kind of similar to how Apex Legends works, where you hold that melee, you bring out your knife, and now you're going to be moving much faster if you're just trying to go long distances across the map. It seems like the current slide and dive behavior options we have in game, which I'm talking about, like tap to slide, hold to slide, or hybrid, those are still going to be in the game. My guess with how dominant diving looks like it's going to be is the hybrid mechanic will probably kind of be like the meta slide dive behavior. So if you're not already on hybrid now in Warzone currently, I'd probably suggest you switch to it and start getting used to it, because diving looks very, very powerful, and you're going to be able to actually dive and shoot mid-air, and the response time of being able to get in and out of going from a dive to back up on your feet is very, very fast. Now let's talk about kind of the gunplay. So one thing that I noticed very clearly when watching the COD Next event was that there is definitely less visual recoil. So in MW2 Warzone 2, this was very prominent, where guns had tons of shake. And there was also lots of like muzzle flash, smoke, kind of fire effects coming out when you shoot the gun. It seems like this has been tuned down dramatically, and there's still recoil in the game for sure, but the recoil seems just easier to see what you're shooting at, which I think almost everyone's going to love, but especially mouse and keyboard players are really going to enjoy that because you can actually see what you're shooting at now. As far as aim assist goes, I did not get to play the game personally, but from talking to people at the event, they said that aim assist felt pretty much the exact same as how it does in Warzone now. If you've played Black Ops games in the past, like Black Ops Cold War or even the Blackout Battle Royale, the gun mechanics seem much more similar to that than like a Modern Warfare style game. Overall gun handling, like the ADS and sprint to fire time, seemed pretty similar to what we're used to currently now in Warzone, but it's hard to tell because from what we got to see today from COD Next, nobody was running quote unquote meta builds. They just had to kind of go with whatever guns they had. They couldn't create custom loadouts. But of course, custom loadouts will be in the game. It just wasn't for this alpha playtest. I did notice that the time to kill, or TTK, maybe seemed slightly faster than what we've currently had. But again, it's hard to tell. We had limited time to kind of see everything. And again, we don't really know what's the meta and if there's going to be further weapon balancing before Warzone actually launches. The perk system is getting a pretty big overhaul. So currently in Warzone, you can pick between 4 perks, and there are perk 1 slots, perk 2, and perk 3 slots. Now there is just going to be a pick 3 perk system out of 18 total perks, and there's no perk 1, perk 2, perk 3. You just pick any 3 of those 18. However, they've actually combined a lot of existing perks. So perks that weren't very popular alone have now been combined together to be a little bit stronger. So for example, the Combat Scout and Tracker perk were combined together into one singular perk to kind of make it more enticing to pick that one. But the thing that is massively changing is we have something called wildcard perks. As of now, as of launch, there's only going to be 2 different wildcards to choose from. There is Overkill, which Overkill will allow you to have 2 primary weapons in your loadout. So if you have Overkill, you can pick like an AR or an SMG, and a sniper. But if you don't have Overkill, you only get to pick 1 primary gun, such as an assault rifle, and then your secondary gun has to be like a pistol or a launcher, but not another primary. Or the other wildcard is called Gunfighter, and this is the one that's going to be super interesting. This one, you won't have Overkill, so you only get 1 primary gun, but your primary gun will be able to have up to 8 attachments. Normally, you only get up to 5 attachments. That's how Warzone has been for a while. But with Gunfighter, your primary gets 8. So just imagine the endless possibility of like super zero recoil builds or maximum movement speed builds. It's going to get kind of crazy building loadouts with Gunfighter. This will also probably bring back the 2 loadout meta like we saw back in Warzone 1, meaning you buy a loadout early in the game, get your Gunfighter gun with 1 gun that has all the attachments, and then you get a second loadout when the public loadout drops so that you have 2 8 attachment guns potentially. Lootable perks are going to be remaining, so when you die, you will drop your perk package and you can pick those back up. But they are also adding extra single lootable perks, meaning you could have your pick 3 perks and then you find an additional perk and you add a 4th perk and maybe even add a 5th perk if you keep looting extra perks. And then also Specialist is still going to be in the game from what we saw, where you can do certain events or challenges, get them through care package, etc. to get the Specialist perk package where you have every single perk in the game. The backpack system is going away, so we are going back to the simple inventory system like we had in Warzone 1. So currently with backpacks, you could theoretically stow like 5 precision airstrikes or 5 munition boxes. However, with the new inventory system, you only get 1 slot for each of these. So there's going to be 1 slot for gas mask, 1 for field upgrade, kill streak, your 2 gun slots, 1 melee slot. You will have a dedicated melee slot. So technically you're going to have 2 guns and a melee at all times. And then you're going to have a slot for each ammo type. However, there are lootable satchels. So normally you're only going to be hold up to 6 armor plates, but if you loot a armor satchel, you can hold up to 12 plates. There's also a munition satchel, which allows you to hold extra ammo. I believe it's double from what you normally could hold without one. And I'm not positive on this, but I think you can technically loot both of those at the same time. So you could have both an armor and a munition satchel, but don't quote me on that. Another really cool mechanic that is coming is the body shield mechanic, or the meat shield, which is what I like to call it. So basically I believe to start this, you have to go and kind of start like an execution process where you melee someone from behind. Your guy will actually grab a hold of him and will be able to walk around and shoot from behind their shoulder and use them as like a body shield, meat shield type thing. And the funniest thing about this is that proximity chat will be enabled when this is happening. So whoever you're carrying around is probably going to be like screaming at you to let you go or whatever, while you're literally using them as a meat shield. Okay, let's talk maps. So first, with a big map, Urzikstan is remaining at launch. Urzikstan, the same big map we have now, will be there, but Verdansk is confirmed to be coming back in spring of 2025. So this will probably be like season 2, season 3, probably season 3 if I had to guess, of when Verdansk will return for big map. And then when it comes to Resurgence, the map that you guys are watching play in the background, this is the new Area 99, which is going to be a Resurgence map. Size-wise, it is a little bit bigger than Rebirth, probably similar to a size of Fortune's Keep. Has kind of like a desert vibe. A lot of cover, but not like super tall buildings. There's only one kind of taller building in the middle of the map, and it's not even that strong of an area because there's not like you can just sit up and snipe there. It's very open up top. There's also not really any clear like borders among different POIs. They kind of all blend together. So it's gonna be a very fast-paced action map like a Rebirth, but also will kind of have like moments and aspects that blend like a Vondel or even a Fortune's Keep kind of all in one. Again, I didn't get to play this, but from what I saw, I think it looks great. The color palette is a little on that like kind of tan desert-ish, but from talking to other streamers that got to play this in person, they said the game looks great in person and that streams didn't quite do it justice. And then the kind of lore behind this map is that it's kind of like a Nuketown where they were like building the things for Nuketown. So you guys, most of you guys know the kind of very notorious Nuketown map that's in almost all the Black Ops Call of Duty games. And then when it comes to the graphics, it is relatively similar to what we have in Warzone, but it is slightly different. It has more of that traditional Blackout Treyarch vibes, where it almost looks a little bit more like animated, like kind of more like Apex. It's hard to describe, but overall, I think everything looked really good from what I was able to see. We do not have any information on what's going to happen with existing Resurgence maps like Rebirth, Vondel, Fortune's Keep. If I had to guess, they will probably be temporarily removed from the game when the new Warzone update happens, and then they might sprinkle them back in like later in Season 1 or Season 2 as a rotation, but we do not know. That is purely speculation. Also, Ranked is confirmed for Big Map in Season 1 of the new Warzone on Urzikstan. They said it's not going to be available right at launch, but probably a few weeks after launch. Some other gameplay changes to talk about. They are reducing the live ping duration. Live pinging enemies is very powerful, basically gives you temporary wall hacks. They're going to reduce that duration of that ping. The ascenders and zip lines are going to be much easier to use, much quicker to get on and off. And it looks like, yes, you still can do the zip line trick where you jump off it early and fly up. It looks like that is still an option to do. Also, emotes and sprays are finally making a return. They're going to be a little bit different where you actually go into third-person mode so you can see your character doing the emote. That's something we haven't seen since Warzone 1. There is a new item in the buy station, a care package, which I did see people using that, and they were getting things like specialists, UAVs, things like that from it. Smoke grenades seem to have gotten a decent nerf. The area of effect of the smoke is much smaller, so it's going to be much harder to just throw one smoke and cover a large distance. You're going to have to throw multiple smokes to do that. And remember, without backpacks, we can't stow 8,000 smokes in our bag, so smokes are probably not going to be as strong or as popular. Stims do seem to be pretty good in this Warzone, especially in multiplayer as well. The stim animation, in order to do it, is way faster. It's almost instant. The health regen also seemed faster. And when it comes to the movement speed boost that they provide, didn't seem like it was as good as Warzone 1, but maybe slightly better than Warzone 3. We didn't get to see a ton of this in action since people couldn't custom create their loadouts, but stims do see at least a little bit stronger than what they are now in Warzone. One thing that I was mildly upset about not seeing was that there is not floating loot. So floating loot is like in Fortnite where the guns are literally floating on the ground instead of, you know, just laying there like they would in real life. They did seem like the loot spreads out a little bit more, and also that things were highlighted better and easier to spot on the ground. So hopefully the interaction of looting things when there's a ton of stuff in one area is going to be improved than what we currently have, because that can be an issue. Leveling up is going to be very different, both from your overall count level and also gun leveling. So the classic prestige system is returning. If you're unfamiliar, if you didn't play some of the older Call of Duties, this means that you rank up from level 1 to 55. Once you hit the max level of 55, you can prestige and you go back to level 1, but now you're prestige 2 level 1, and then you have to go back through 55. Then you go to prestige 3 level 1. When you do this, you the guns and perks and things like that, they become locked, but the progression does not go away. So let's say you had your XM4 AR max level. When you prestige, and let's say you unlock it at level 10. Once you hit level 10, all your progression on that gun, like your XP, your camos, it'll still be there. You just have to get back to that level so you can start using it again. And then each time you prestige, you're going to get a permanent unlock token where you can pick one item like a gun, a perk, an equipment, and that thing will stay unlocked forever. Every time you prestige, it will already stay unlocked. So if you have a gun you really like or a perk, you can just make sure that's unlocked by the next time you go through the prestige. And some people just don't care about prestiging, and that's totally fine. So you can hit 55 and just have everything unlocked. But every time you prestige, you get a new emblem, and it really just kind of comes down to bragging rights to be able to show off that you're the max prestige. We don't know what the max prestige is quite yet. Rumor is that the max level was 1,000. So if you do the math on that based off level 55, it'd be about 18 prestiges, but that could be completely wrong. So don't quote me on that. Now this one I am incredibly excited about. Weapon leveling in progression is reverting to how it used to be before Modern Warfare 2. So if you guys remember in MW2, they had this goofy system where you would have to level up one gun to unlock an attachment for that gun that you needed to unlock for another gun. It was so confusing. There was this goofy progression of things that made no sense. However, they're getting rid of that. So it's going back to kind of like how it was in MW19, where you just unlock attachments for that one gun, and that's it. It's just the attachments for one gun, no goofy cross gun unlocking. Thank God. And also the progression for both your leveling, so prestige wise and weapon leveling, will all cross over from multiplayer and Warzone. So if you're leveling up a gun in multiplayer, it'll be max level if you want to play it in Warzone as well, or vice versa. And with that in mind, they have this new thing called global weapon builds. It's kind of hard to explain this one, but essentially your loadouts for multiplayer, zombies, and Warzone, they're all going to kind of connect seamlessly. So when you're updating a loadout for one thing, it's going to also update for all of your loadouts. And they basically just said that managing your loadouts should just be way easier now. And when it comes to the new Black Ops 6 guns, you will not be able to use MW2 and MW3 attachments on these, as far as I understand here. So in MW2, MW3, there is like 100 underbarrels. It's ridiculous the amount of attachments we have. For Black Ops 6 guns, they will only have those Black Ops 6 attachments. So hopefully that means it should not be such a headache to find certain attachments and whatnot. But I believe they did say that only optics will kind of cross unlock for each other, but other attachments, it'll just be very simple for that gun. Custom reticle challenges are returning. So this is something that was a huge fan favorite kind of back MW19, Black Ops Cold War, Vanguard, etc., where you could do certain challenges for certain optics, and you could change the optic or the dot of each optic. So like a sniper scope that had an X, you could change and unlock it to maybe one that's just like a blue dot or something like that. There will be mastery camos now for multiplayer, zombies, and Warzone, which is new. And you can use these in each of the different modes if you want. So Warzone this year will have its own set of mastery camos to grind for, which is pretty awesome. They also mentioned that they plan on making several improvements to the UI or the menu system that should make things much easier to navigate from different game modes and whatnot, because the current system is just goofy and confusing. Now the Black Ops 6 beta early access is starting this Friday, August 30th until September 4th. This is only if you pre-ordered the game, or I believe also if you have it on Game Pass. And then the open beta, which is for anyone, even if you didn't pre-order it, you don't have to spend any money, it's just free, you just gotta download it. That is gonna be available the following weekend from 9/6 to 9/9. Also, your leveling in progress that you occur during the beta, that is only for the beta. So once the beta is over, all your progress and XP will wipe, and you will start completely fresh when the game actually launches on October 25th. Alrighty, that is going to wrap everything up. We got a lot of information. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have questions, let me know down below. I will do my best to answer. Maybe come jump into a stream as well, though, in case I miss some comments. Feel free to ask me there, but let me know what you guys think. I'm really excited. Didn't get to play it, trying to, stay even keeled, but I cannot wait to play. So thank you all. I appreciate you. If you're new to the channel, make sure you're subscribed. We do lots of videos on how to get better at the game, best loadouts, settings, guides, etc. So appreciate you all. Peace.